Okay, accessing joy. Dear folks of Baba, we often choose as our topic one of the troubling issues that we face in our lives with Baba. Dyan Ullman, who regularly attends our sessions, piped up, "What about joy? Let's not forget about the positive." I agree, so joy it is. Do you feel joy behind all that happens in your life as a constant background? How does joy differ from bliss? Do you find that joy is more down to earth? Eruch used to say, Baba didn't want you to act happy. He wanted you to be happy. How does joy fit into this? What things do you do in your life that naturally bring you joy? Do they have to be so-called spiritual? When you experience joy, do you feel Baba near you, that he enjoys your joy? Can joy be brought to others? In what ways can this be done? What emotions, thoughts, and feelings rob us of joy? As you get older, have you discovered that you can enjoy others enjoying themselves without having to be a direct participant? It has been said that happiness is usually a temporary state and is based on outer circumstance, and joy is an abiding state not subject to the outer, but is an inner state that arises from one's connection to a higher source, either from a selfless response to others or to the experience of the divine, of oneness with all of life. Could joy actually be bliss being brought down to the street level? Is bliss able to empathize with the suffering of others?
This.
Jeff.
What about joy? In his love, Jeff.
Oh, there's a late night chat email group.
Thank you. We'll let. I always tell. Oh, I think this. I think we. I don't know. I mean, I sent this out. What Jasim is bringing up, but that's a little bit long. I just thought it was something I sent out about kind of my sense of joy, unfelt joy. It's a particular thing, but I think we'll pass on that.
I don't know, Jeff. I read it and it's really good. There's a lot in it.
Well, what do you think?
I think it's worth it. That's my opinion.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you go. Yeah, bring it up then, Jacima, and then and Paula, you're chosen to read it.
I really liked it. I thought you answered a lot in it. Okay. Unfelt joy. As I've written earlier, because of the Mandali's proximity to Baba's being at an inner level, many truths flowed from them, even in ordinary conversation. Often, without their knowing, they would sometimes impart profound insights through their casual remarks. Once, back in 1971, Adi happened to say offhandedly, "It's better for Baba lovers to remain on the gross level. If they get on the spiritual planes, Baba has to bring them down, and that involves great suffering." At the time, I didn't realize the value of these words until I began attending the Baba-filled meetings at Darwin and Jean Shaw's home in Schenectady, New York. The atmosphere of those meetings was so uplifting that I would sometimes find myself in a state of overwhelming bliss, so infinitely expansive that I never wanted the experience to end. The mere thought that this might happen was excruciating. The meetings were usually on Saturday evenings, and on Monday I had to go into work at the infirmary wing of the county nursing home, a very dense, low-energy atmosphere created by patients who were suffering in the extreme at the end of their lives. In an exalted state of bliss, you might say, I crash-landed into this depressed county nursing home, my heart ending up scattered amid the emotional wreckage. After several weeks of this disturbing experience of emotional upheaval, I vowed never to allow myself to go up into bliss again, but instead settle for what I called a state of ordinary being happy. Audie's words came back to me unexpectedly and reinforced this resolve. I had to fight to stay on earth and resist the impulse to go into bliss. This realization had invaluable implications in my inner life with Baba for decades afterwards. I discovered that in transcending the gross world, my experience of the soul was of bliss, while in staying down on earth, my experience of the soul was of joy. I found that the state of joy was so much more practical because I could carry on my life in the world without experiencing such emotional and spiritual extremes. Years later, this joy metamorphosed into a state of what I call unfelt joy. What could that ever mean, you might ask? I found over time that I no longer had to experience joy in order to know that joy is the abiding state of my heart at its innermost level. I no longer had to go back into the recesses of my heart to see if it is still there. Even all the emotional and mental ups and downs of my daily life could not affect it. There was a buoyancy that was unassailable, unaffected by life's experiences. A deep knowing, one who is completely down on their luck and finds themselves homeless and helpless in a roadside ditch. What do they have to worry about if their father is a billionaire? A simple phone call and they're rescued. Baba, bringing with him a credit card of joy with our name on it, is that billionaire. Knowing that joy is always there has allowed me to experience great emotional and mental extremes that when I was younger, I would have struggled mightily to endure. This state of unfelt joy, I have sometimes pondered, is a faint but reassuring reflection of Eruch's description of the Mandali's experience. We are the chalices that hold the beloved's wine. Others may come and help themselves, but for us, we never take a drop. Here is something else I wrote about joy. My experience is that joy is the experience of our soul at the street level, meaning down here in the gross world. If we go into the deepest part of our heart, we will feel joy, which is the experience of Baba in us. But how to get there? We have to do something very subtle. We have to withdraw our awareness, consciousness, from being identified with the sensations of the body, the racket of the mind, and the disturbances of the emotions. This does not mean to be unaware of the body, mind, and heart, to be aware but detached. Is it really possible to experience great physical, mental, or emotional suffering and know joy at the same time? We can definitely. Joy is really our natural state in the gross world. Most children in early childhood live in joy naturally. Why? Because their identification with their body, mind, and heart is very light. They are not, like adults, obsessed with their physical appearance, with how smart they are, and with their moods and emotional storyline. Adults are forever grooming their personalities for themselves and others, which is unnatural and yet understandable. And this habit is not easy to give up. For adults, the awareness usually has to go very deep within to feel joy to the very heart of us. Baba in our lives often changes the equation by adding a subtle wrinkle to this dynamic of joy, because with Baba, you may unconsciously radiate joy and warmth and love, and yet at the same time be in a bad mood, feel physical pain, or be harassed by thoughts. Joy might elude such a person, but others are definitely the beneficiaries. Ha! There is a quote from Rumi where he says, "You are so obsessed with the bad stitching on your sleeve that you fail to see the magnificence of your own garment." I feel that Baba is helping us to radiate joy to others for sure. But is it necessary for us to always experience our own joy ourselves? I don't think so. Baba wants us to eventually forget ourselves and remember him, rather than perpetuate our awareness of ourselves, including our joy. Once we know that joy is at the very depths of us, Baba himself, how many times do we have to go back and keep checking to see if it's still there? Once we are convinced, we no longer need to bother. But first, we have to be convinced. In order to do that, with our awareness, we have to tiptoe past the body, mind, and heart without waking the Doberman pinchers along the way. We have to continue tiptoeing deep within until our awareness with Baba reaches our joy and hovers above it. This may have to be repeated many times before we are convinced that it's always been there. Then there is no longer the need to go on experiencing it for ourselves. Jai Baba.
Huh. I don't know if that makes sense, but I wrote it sitting on the sofa here during the pandemic when I had a lot of time to myself.
I wanted to read it, Jeff, because there's so much in it and it made a lot of sense to me. It's like there was something about how, if we're in bliss or if we're having all these experiences, I mean, some people do. I don't think I do, but it's like Baba couldn't use us very well. I mean, what if we're going to be, I know I have a feeling, I don't know for sure. I have a feeling if I experience much bliss, I would just be gone. I wouldn't want to come back. So what's Baba going to do with that in the world?
Yeah.
I don't know. He can't work through us with that. We're just wandering around like musts that need to get pushed along the way somewhere. Anyway,
I don't feel joy needs to make sense. It's just joy. It's not.
The nice thing about
I think of sensation. It's not sensation necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about when I was in the state of bliss, I didn't really have any empathy for others. I mean, what I mean is, they look kind of pathetic to me, but I didn't have any empathy because I was kind of above, looking down rather than. But joy is kind of right down here where you can empathize. Joy enables us to empathize, but I found that bliss was it's at the level of the spirit, and joy is at the deepest level of the heart. So anyway, anyone? Oh, good, we got some hands here.
Yeah, Rainy.
Well, I was thinking about joy. Can you hear me with this microphone up higher?
Yeah.
Hey, we got Joy with us here.
Oh, hi, Joy.
Bottom left for me.
Hi, Joy. How joyful. And I was thinking about joy, and I'm thinking, joy, it's like when I tried to think of anger, I could only remember the word rage from Francis. But suddenly, 3 lovely little joyful poems tumbled into my head. One is a little short birthday song late in the piece. I'll just recite it.
Yeah.
Let all rejoice upon this day. Let each sing in accord and set out on the shining way with his dear friend and Lord. Let every living, moving thing forget itself today, and earth and all together sing, and each and all together sing, our Lord has come to stay. May Baba, our friend and Lord, let everyone proclaim, has come to plant in each his word, that we might sing his name. Let all rejoice upon this day. Beautiful. And rejoicing has to take incredible joy. Another one I thought of was a funny little old-fashioned Swedish song, I think. From our open throats comes bounding joy, joy, joy. From our hearts is love resounding. Joy, 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 joy in the Ancient One. He is love's sweet mercy. Joy, joy, joy. He is love's treasury. Joy to all the world. He is the ocean vast. Joy, joy, joy. He is each drop held fast. Joy to all the world. He is love's sweet mercy. Joy, joy, joy. He is love's treasury. Joy to all the world. He is his own great dream. Joy, joy, joy. All that we see and seem. Joy to all the world. From our open throats comes bounding joy, joy, joy. From our hearts is love resounding joy, joy, joy. Joy in the Ancient One. So I think when we think of joy, if we just get rid of everything and duality and just, oh my goodness, the avatar came. Oh, what joy! What joy for every plant, animal, fish, bird. It's joy. It's there. It's present. It has to be. And there's another little poem. Come everybody to the joy of the morning, to the joy of the morning, to the joy of the morning with Mayhair. What could be happier? He is the true one. We compare him to nothing. Compare him to nothing. Compare him to nothing that we know. To him do we go. He's our journey, our joy and our sorrow, our joy and sorrow. Because there's no tomorrow. Come everybody to the joy of the morning.
Beautiful.
So if you look at the Mandali, there is all that grinding, diamond grinding all the time, but every now and again, especially say in the family letters, you just feel it burst through. It can't help but burst through. Why? And that's because he's here. Everything actually underneath the whole grind is tingling. Tingling with joy. Because it's a gift, and that we few happen to know about it. But you see it in some people who don't know about it, and they're joyful. And there's an underlying fact that God in human form came again to push us along, but also that is a joyful,
True.
pervading thing throughout everything.
Beautiful. Yep. Yeah, I would ask sometimes privately. I would ask Bao Kao Churi, how are you feeling? And he'd say, this is privately. He'd say, I am suffering from head to foot. But I'd say, Bao, you look so radiant. There's so much softness around you. You're glowing. He's radiating joy, but his own experience is just suffering from head to foot. But, he was willing to endure that for, if the joy and love coming out, we're all benefiting from it. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
he had a little trouble with his computer earlier today.
Okay. So anyone else?
Anyone else have something to say about joy?
Fred or Jeff.
Yes.
Hello, Jeff. It's Jeremy here. Just
Yeah.
greetings to all, and I must say the arty tonight, the arty and the conversation has been very good so far. I just wanted to say that while joy brings to mind one of the songs that Pete Townsend wrote, which is called Sleeping Dog. And while that may not do justice to some people, but the dog just wants to be loved, and the dog is, as the song goes, sleeping dog by the open fire, you're sleeping your life away. You can get joy from sleeping or from eating a good meal. Sometimes it's just the simple things in life that can create joy, and that I wouldn't necessarily identify it as something that is to be critiqued upon, because I think that maybe that's not the right way of it being conveyed, but I think that joy, to be ordinary, even if one were to reach, if those who reach heights or esteemed value in life, don't necessarily need to be joyful, but if you are ordinary with yourself, then you become more joyful in that sense. I think if you're to be ordinary despite what you have or what you don't have, and I don't know, maybe I'm not making any sense, but I just I feel like Sleeping Dog, where in that song he talks about sleeping children better win your bets, tomorrow you'll be back at school, you've learned so much, but you've come so far, you'll never be any soul's fool. To be like children or a pet dog or a pet cat. I'm not necessarily saying that as humans we should try to attain to be like the dog or cat or like children. Children really are. We learn a lot from children, because children, in essence, are the source of joy. They're much like we all are. And I know, once you get to adulthood, things get a little more complicated. But to remain young at heart, to remain pure of soul, and to remain unfettered or undisturbed by the temptations and the susceptibilities of life, including material wealth, material gain, competition, jealousy. These are the things that we need to be cured of, so that we can become more like God, I think, and maybe I'm wrong about
That's
that.
a lovely thought, Fred. Thank you. That was really clear and just a lovely series of joyful thoughts. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Rainey, and hope I have your name right, Rainey. If I don't, I'm
That's
sorry,
right.
but
No, that's right. It's very simple. Just call me anything. Just love me. I don't care.
thank you. I enjoyed hearing your thoughts too,
Thank you.
and Jeff, yours too.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And
Ash,
Hey, Baba,
yes, Meher.
I feel this joy in many things. We can, even when we talk to Baba on our own, there's a lot of joy he gives us and a lot of peace and things. I feel that's my great thing and joy. We can, when we sing even sometimes songs to Baba, there's a lot of joy coming out from us. And we are really taking our great love to this thing. And this, I feel that is the way my joy is there. Jai Baba.
Yeah, Meher, how did you feel? What was your experience before Baba came into your life?
It was very dull. I'll tell you that. It was very dull. I didn't have a great life.
Very
I didn't
dull?
have a great life.
D-U-L-L?
Very dull. D-U-L-L, dull.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, Jeff, I lost my parents early and I didn't have a life that time, the thing. And when I came into Baba's fold, I have really changed. My life has changed for me. That's
Yeah.
it.
Beautiful.
So all the joy is now much more than what I had when I was younger.
Boy, beautiful.
Jai Baba.
Yeah, Jai Baba.
Rainy.
I was just reflecting on the East West Gathering and the opening of the East West Gathering and the absolute joy in it in 1962 and the innocence and it just you can start your set with one of them and you're in a good mood the whole day like Baba, now we greet you on this lovely morning when joy's petals open in brightness for you. For now as we meet you, a new day is dawning across our heart skies where before darkness grew. Sing hearts Jaya Jaya Baba, ring hearts Jaya Jaya Baba. Just that joyfulness of them all gathering together, east and west, at the Avatar's feet, God's feet. That joy just bounces out of that book, and wow, it's me, pinch, pinch, and I'm really here. The joy is, I can't contain it. Just beautiful. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, that connection to Baba just brings joy. I mean, the more we revisit that, we're just tapping into wholesome joy, you know.
Irene.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Jay Baba, I feel like I've watched so many replays of everyone here that now I'm here in live. So really appreciate the shares. I've been reflecting on this too for a few days on joy, and I agree with Paula that first of all, if I felt bliss, I don't know if I could have done what you did, Jeff, which is to try to stay grounded in regular joy. I guess I've been thinking that when I don't feel joy, it's because I'm worrying and my mind is going. So to feel joy means that for me that I have to settle my mind, and it made me think that joy, to me, it feels like it's a choice. It's a choice. I need to pause, make a choice to focus on Baba and love, nature, my dog, whatever, family, love, friends. It's a choice, and therefore it's a practice. And that's what I'm kind of going on in my head about joy, that I can feel it if I can get the worry out, and if I can pause and choose to focus on the things that make me feel joyful, which is usually nature and love and family and Baba Zoom. So
Yeah, beautiful. Hey, that reminds me, I've got a nice quote from Eruch. If I can find it here. Let's see. Hey, what's happening here? I guess I gotta.
While you do that, we just want to say that we jumped in to say
Oh,
hello.
good. Hey.
I could not postpone joy. I can't be left with just oi. I saw a double rainbow today. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
We're gonna go out. We're gonna go off video and on to mute. But I just wanted to send my love.
Fantastic.
We miss you. We miss you. I miss you.
Diana's the one who was responsible for this topic, and then she took off for Massachusetts. You know, left us in the duck. Here's a line from Danny Ladinsky was with Eruch, and he asked Eruch, "Is there anything that you would like to say to the Baba lovers that would help them?" And he said, "Yes. Tell them from us to think every day about their most beautiful experiences with Baba. Tell them to mine that more. You know, to mine it as in mining for gold. Tell them to mine that more. Tell that holding that in their heart and soul every day will help with their wedding with the sun. I'll read that again. Yes, tell them from us to think every day about their most beautiful experiences with Baba. Tell them to mine that more. Tell them that holding that in their heart and soul every day will help in their wedding with the sun. S-U-N. Those were Eruch's words. But that reminded me what Irene was saying. And, and a lot of people, go for gratefulness. They go back over the day. What was I grateful about? And so that connects them with the joy. Anyway, I'll be back there. Yeah, okay.
Jeff, did I get this? Think every day about what's most beautiful experience with Baba.
Yeah.
Mind that more. Holding that in your heart and soul every day will help with the wedding of the sun.
Yeah, with your wedding with the sun.
Wedding with the sun, S-U-N?
S-U-N.
That's an interesting phrase.
Yeah, I mean...
Meher means sun. That's Baba's name, sun.
Meher means sun?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of the meanings.
Oh.
Yeah, so basically you're wedding with Baba. You're merging with Baba.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tony?
Hi, I'm not, I don't think I'm ready for sharing on joy just yet, but Zeke just brought Elena over because she wanted to say hi to everyone. We were out, we were in Albany visiting Zeke's sister, and we just got back, and so normally she'd be asleep, and she wanted to say hi. She watches the videos on YouTube.
Hey,
Hello, Elena.
Hey, Baba. Hello.
Hey, Elena.
Hey, Baba, Elena.
Hey, Baba. Lovely to see you.
Jay Baba.
Jay Baba. Jay Baba.
Hi, Elena. Jay
Hi,
Baba.
Elena.
And she got a brand new hairdo.
Very gorgeous. I love it. Yeah.
For her 32nd birthday.
Oh.
It was not today, it was a month ago, but it's still.
So she's 32 and Franny's 42 this year.
Oh
my
my.
gosh. How's that happen? Franny's 42, Elena. You're the young one.
Beautiful.
So she was missing. I was in the at the center. I could talk about that later. Baba tricked me into getting to the center, which I wanted to do. And she told me while I was away, she was hugging my pillow here on the couch.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Yes, I told her.
Nice to see you.
Okay, thanks. I guess I'll talk about joy later.
Yeah, come in anytime, Tony.
Okay, bye-bye.
Any other customers?
I have something. I didn't raise my hand, but I will this way. May I go?
Go ahead.
I'm curious. Baba said, don't worry, be happy. He didn't say, don't worry, be joyful. So I'm curious. There's bliss, there's happiness, and there's joy. Are they all the same? Well, bliss is not the same, but is happiness and joy pretty much the same thing?
It kind of depends on how you are. Happiness usually comes as a result of something, whereas joy is kind of abiding in us. It's like joy is like the sun is behind the clouds. It's always there, even on an overcast day. Happiness is generally, I mean, I'm just giving a certain definition. It's kind of based upon, something lovely that happens and it made you feel happy. It's kind of circumstantial. And joy is just something that's back there, kind of shining on things, lifting us up. And but that's just like I say, that's just a definition that I've given. But I would say happiness is on the way to joy. Meaning if you have to kind of get a sort of ongoing happiness. And I think that from the happiness you start to move into discovering the joy that's even behind the happiness. Now, I mean, that's just my opinion, my take, but does that make any sense? I mean, to be happy is a real service to others, and it lifts your spirits. But eventually, that joy is, if we can tap into that, we have something that keeps us up a buoyancy that keeps us up all the time.
I've always loved the word joy, but I feel it's very elusive to me. I've never been able to capsule it in my heart. So it's elusive and I'm not quite sure about it. It sounds like it's more energetic than happiness, but I'm not sure. I know that I think I feel joy when Jamie plays his music or Rainey plays some of her songs, and I feel that incredible love and in my heart that's just like bursting out, and that to me feels like joy.
Yeah.
So music, when you sing some songs, Jeff, when you guys sing these songs of Baba, loving Baba, that's when I feel joy. I was trying to think, when do I feel joy? And I quickly went to the music. You know, I see you guys playing, or Rainey, the songs that Rainey sang right now. Music brings me joy, but that joy, music connects me with Baba. That's what makes me feel so joyful.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure some other people have to weigh in on this, but we got a few hands.
Patty.
All the way from Oregon.
Jai Baba, everybody. Wonderful to be here. I did come in late, so I might have missed something, but I really feel that joy is not through the mind. Happiness can be in the mind, but I don't think joy is there. I think joy is resonant with the heart and the soul, and more linked into the source, Baba, of all the divine current of what we can experience by seeing a puppy or living through the out of doors or in the music or with children. I shared with Jeff, as all of you have probably responded and thought about, once this came out, I really was contemplating and thinking about joy and when I was joyful in my life. And it's real identifiable from the personality, Patty, when she was joyful or when she felt joy. And of course, those times were at Mehrabad and Merazad and Baba's room and the center, and, you know, in Australia at Avatar's abode, you know, any place there is that divine expression so freely flowing, my mind slows way down, and then my heart and my soul is full of joy. It's so distinctive for me. Or I hear beautiful poetry that moves me to that space. And yesterday, I had or the day before, it was yesterday actually, I was jogging in a pool real early at 7 o'clock in the morning to avoid any humans. And I'm 25, 30 minutes into chanting Satchidanand Paramanan while I'm jogging with a jogging belt in the pool. And here comes in a couple, a man and a wife with their identical or close to looking identical little toddler twins, and not quite walking, but one, you know, the one dressed in blue, which I assumed was the boy, was able to, you know, have a few steps on his own. But I was overwhelmed by watching. My total focus went to these two toddlers in the water with their parents, in total expression of nowness and presence, of discovery, of love, it was absolutely joyful. I mean, even though I'd been in my own little space of doing what I was doing, the whole experience permeated joy in that whole arena. And and I felt so incredibly blessed to be able to witness and feel what was happening, because literally there was no words exchanged. I mean, they might have been, 15, 20 feet from me, but it just changed everything. And when I've been on the center with the mandali, or all the times that I have recognized the joyful state, the mind is real quiet for me. And so, I don't know if anyone else said that, but that's where joy comes with me. And it there's a real settling with it. It's actively present, but it's very settling and familiar, and a divine being in expression of itself, I believe.
Yeah, beautifully
Yeah.
expressed, Patty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle?
Jai Baba. First, I'll start with this little ditty. I got a joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart. I got a joy, 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 joy down in my heart to stay. So, with that said, I think that joy, you have to cultivate it in your life. And it takes training, and it takes perseverance. And I think the most joyful moments, of course, for me, music, but getting out in nature, walking the dog, noticing the flowers. I took a bike ride today, and there's something about, I rode down to Lake Michigan and rode through the park, and all the trees are in bloom, the pinks, the colors, and I was just, it's always so incredible to me to go out, take a walk, and just see the world. Anyway, so, and gardening yesterday, we were planting a garden, and I was thinking about Mara, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe she could help grow this garden. And this morning, it occurred to me, well, since the garden is being grown by Baba and Mara, that all the fruits and vegetables and all the flowers are prasad. And with that said,
Yeah.
I'll say Jai Baba.
And the beautiful thing is everything you spoke about is all in the present. You were experiencing, the flowering trees in Lake Michigan, all in gardening, all in the present. Very much of a present moment experience, Yeah.
Can I add something to it? No.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Marvin, you're right there. Marvin, talk.
Oh.
Oh, Marvin, go for it.
Yeah.
You're out of COVID now?
I'm not past it, no.
Okay.
I'm having a hard time speaking and breathing. But I'm alive. I think it's the way it resonates inside of our souls. These external expressions of the universe. Very similar to the way Baba attracts each one of us differently. We feel this love emanating from without and incorporate it within. And that's where the joy comes from. I remember when Ba was alive, I used to give him massages for hours and hours. And it was such a joyful experience, even though at the end of it, I was just dripping with sweat, from the experience. But because I could feel his resonance of, the what was happening to his body, and how I was able to relieve some of that pressure, it gave me tremendous joy. So just something that I was just thinking about.
Yeah, thank you, Marvin. And stay well there. Stay. Yeah.
I know.
He's steaming. He has some. Yeah. Thank you, Sanabar. Jai Baba.
Rainy?
I just wanted to say there's a nice little discourse on avatarmayababa.org called The Joy of Inward Companionship of the Divine Beloved. And in the last paragraph, I was thinking of Marta there, he goes into the joy of musts and how then they disregard the world, they're in such joy. But at the end here, he says it is when the soul attains God realization on the seventh plane that the soul gets full control over its own joy. So this joy is, I think too, it's beyond happiness. It's something else altogether again. No longer for him is the extravagance of newly found love and joy. The occasional unsettlement owing to the onflow of the increasing joy at the closest proximity of God is also over because he is now inseparably united with God. So Barbara's saying that just this joy just builds and builds and builds towards the end. So I think it would behoove us to experience joy wherever we can so we get used to it. We don't roll right off the planet, as someone was saying earlier. But joy is, when it's spontaneous and it just enters you, it's definitely in the now. I mean, it takes us to the now, and it's produced often by a glorious experience in the now, as Michelle and Mervyn were saying. Just a fantastic feeling when it does come along.
Ah, beautiful.
Michael?
Hey, Baba, Paul, can you hear me?
Sure, yeah.
That's always been an issue. So I used to be quite moody when I was younger and quite angry at times. And I remember I held grudges for a long time. But as I've been with Baba, even though I've been through a lot of suffering, the burden has become lighter and lighter. And one day I woke up, I looked up at my ceiling, and it was like blue sky with little tufts of clouds that represented like anger and strong emotions I'd felt before. And it's just a remarkable thing to, well, I'm changed. It's amazing. It's very hard for me to hold on to anger or any positions. In fact, I find myself amused a lot by what's going on. I like to make people laugh. I'm annoying that way, I think, sometimes. And I love to make my wife laugh. So we have jokes a lot. We make, like, life is a joke. And all this drama is going on, and people are dying, and bombs are falling. And well, I just tell people, look, I take life seriously, but I don't like to be serious about it. And I remember when I first came to Baba, I wondered, how can I look cheerful when I don't feel cheerful? And now, how can I? I can't not suppress my cheerfulness. Anyway, I thought I'd read a poem to you. When I announced my plans to marry another time, my friends thought me mad. There he goes, carried off by his genitals again, inelegantly, but aptly put. The sage said, actually, Adi Keirane, you know that sex is binding. Yes, I replied without a pause. There's a lot of background noise. Do you guys hear it? I apologize for it. But anyway, the sage said, you know that sex is binding? Yes, it is my path. God promised me that married life could bring me to the very door of his realization. Regardless of past failures to assail the gates of heaven. I plunged into the whirlpool again, seeking the promised pearl. And God has kept his promise, whether at the door of bliss or not, is of no importance and impossible to tell. But such joy to hear her laughter, his laughter in her voice. Never have I felt such love for you, Lord. You guard your secret well. And one more about my son.
Beautiful.
I have a special friend. His name is Ben. He is my son. Full 9 years old with brown eyes and stocky build. His smile is wide like a river and sweet as blackberries. We adore each other, he and I. I made a promise to be worthy of his love, and he in turn loves me like I love God. He defends me from attackers. He yields his mind to me, though it is often filled with baseball cards and chewing gum. I'm honored with his simple conversations. He is generous with his heart. His love turned me away from thinking I was a failure. It gave me purpose when I was lost. Lord, what a gift you have given me. Have you in a little body, surrendering to my imperfect will. You found another way to reach me, another way to teach me. Thief of thieves, you stole my heart with my child's heart. J. Papa.
Beautiful, Michael. Lovely. What a tribute to a son. Lovely.
Go ahead.
Jai Baba, everyone. Lovely to hear all your sharings. To me, joy is, as Jeff said, is an abiding state. So happiness is fleeting, very true. You can feel happy 1 minute and then the next minute, it passes. But joy is something that is with you all along once you have it. And when you give your life to Baba and he enters your life becomes a continuous abiding state of joy. So that whatever happens, you remain detached, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And when the not so good things happen, it's so much easier to deal with because you are in that detached state. And therefore, the joy within you supersedes anything that you are going through. So I feel it is your connection, your deep connection to Baba that helps and that keeps you in that state of abiding joy. Jai Baba. As you said, Jeff, what you shared was so beautifully said in the piece that you wrote that it resonated with me, because I know I've been through a lot of not so good times, and the only reason I could come out of it is because I had that inner state of abiding joy and detachment. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, beautifully spoken. Wow, beautifully said. Yeah, we are so lucky we have Baba. Boy, I mean, we have some place to go.
Indeed.
When the world is in such bad shape in many respects, we have that joy we can tap into behind it all, and it makes bearing it so much easier than if we had no background, just even pessimism at the back of us. This world would be really unbearable, I would say.
Rosalie.
I certainly do believe in joy. I think joy is unselfish. It's when you're not self-absorbed. It's at whatever depth you can get to that. And I know I remember just this incredible time when I was first in India, and it was Christmas. We were celebrating Christmas, and it was in Mandalay Hall, and I was performing for Mara, really, for everyone, but you know, Mara to me, Mara Baba, you know. And I remember looking out and seeing Mara, and I have to say, I saw the face of joy. Her face was just so joyous, far surpassing like children's joy, like children's joy. You know, they don't know, but like Mara knew, and she still had the joy. She had the joy. So anyway, I wanted to read a little bit of the mystical language because Baba speaks of joy, and it is really something. This is from the Blue Bus Tours. Utilize the divine in you. I rejoice in doing whatever I do. I rejoice in doing good. I rejoice in doing comfort. I rejoice in making war. I rejoice in making pain. To rejoice unselfish is to realize unself-conscious in I as the individual that has to be conscious, the truth that is use of me. So I think if we truly use the gift of that the avatar has brought us, we will have joy because he is Christ come back to trigger us again. Because, you know, we all have that trigger just waiting. You know, it's sort of, they have that saying, waiting for Godot or something, that it's like waiting for joy.
Yeah.
I think it's not only the path of love, but it's the path of joy.
Yeah. That was Mani, the title of Mani's book, The Joyous Path.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Tony?
Hi, Jay Baba. I made some little notes so I can try and remember everything that's been coming up as I've been listening. First is I was in the center this past week, and I posted some photos that Anthony Zoyce took of me when I was there, and I titled it with this song from Donovan. Come everybody to the, nope, wrong song. Wait a second. Happiness runs in a circular motion. Thought is like a little boat upon the sea. Everybody is a part of everything anyway. You can have everything if you let yourself be. Happiness runs, happiness runs. And I think he's talking about joy there. And the other thing that came to mind, I really enjoyed Rainy's reading of some of those song lyrics and poems, but I want to sing one of them because she just read it, and it's on one of the Aussie albums, as well as I remember it. Come everybody to the joy of the morning, to the joy of the morning, to the joy of the morning, to the joy of the morning with Mayer. What could be gayer? He's the true one. We compare him with nothing. We compare him with nothing. We compare him with nothing. We compare him with nothing that we know. With him do we go. He's the true one. Our joy and sorrow. Our joy and sorrow. Our joy and sorrow. He is our joy and sorrow. There's no tomorrow.
Come everybody to the joy of the morning, to the joy of the morning, to the joy of the morning, to the joy of the morning with Mayhair. What could be gayer? Tony has remembered this since February 1977.
It's memorable. It's very memorable. The other thing is, I want to talk a little bit about my trip to the center, but one thing about it, well, Well, it's about how joy can be there in the midst of immense pain. What I want to say is I've been feeling Baba calling me for the past month to come to the center. And sometimes I'd hear it through Jeff saying, when are you coming? But you knew it was Baba saying, when are you coming? And I always wait for an invitation to go to India but this time, instead of leaping at it, I said, but COVID, because, you'd have to take a plane and COVID. So on Friday before last, I guess, I read that my dear friend Craig Smith, who was an extraordinary, loving, amazing Baba lover, and his wife Louise, that Craig had passed away on Tuesday, and there was going to be a memorial across from the center on Sunday. And for that, I had to be there. They gave so much love to me and my family and everyone who ever met them. And so I got there. I got a flight. By that evening, I had a flight booked for 1:30 the next afternoon. And but in getting, it came right away, no problem with TSA. But in getting in my rental car, which was paid for, I had to wait online for 4 hours, dragging luggage with the wheel that had broken like a dead animal behind me. And it really triggered immense pain in my back and my knees. And I was having trouble walking. I couldn't really hardly get down to the lagoon and back up. But Baba's love was so present that the joy was unavoidable. As I was driving to the center, Baba said inwardly to me, so are you coming for me or for Craig? And I went, huh? He said, are you coming for me or for Craig? I said, well, of course I'm coming for you. I want to be at the center. I want to be at the center. But are you coming for me? I'm coming for Craig and you, but of course it's coming to the center. And so the next morning, as I was getting ready to go to Baba House and then to the memorial, we got word that Louise, his wife, was suddenly hospitalized and the memorial had been canceled. And it turned, and of course I knew this was just what Baba had been telling me. He used that to trick me into getting to the center, which both Baba and I wanted. Then I got to see Louise. Turns out she was fine and better than I ever remember her. We visited for 5 hours. She said she wakes up every morning, goes in the garden and sings one of my songs. And her daughter then told me the same thing, the same song. So I did about a 3-hour concert. The Baba's love flowing through this. I'm still in immense pain. I can barely walk right now. I hope it clears. But the joy that was there at the same time shows that there's no balance between joy and pain. Let's see. I made some other notes. What else? When there is, there's a quote somewhere, and I'm not getting it exactly correct, but it's in the Master's Circle. Baba says, when there is an absence of joy in those present around the Master, and the second part is to the effect of he does something about it. I'm really widely paraphrasing, but he takes that as an opportunity to bring joy where it's lacking in his close ones, his disciples. Also, I've noticed in my ghazals, I self-published a book of 424 ghazals, and anytime the word joy came up, instinctively, I always capitalized it. Because to me, joy is really, it's a sublime quality, it's a divine quality, and it's not far from us. It's like any divine quality that Baba can allow us to partake of, and he likes to do that. And the only last thing I wrote was, the wonderful thing about joy, happiness is excellent. I think there's a lot of overlap. I don't want to get intellectual about it, but the thing about joy is it bubbles up. It has its own, comes from inside and it bubbles up. And it means you've somehow surrendered and you're present enough, and in my case, feeling at the center last week, feeling how much Baba loves me and loved me to get me through such chicanery, really, to what I so much wanted. So, hey, Baba.
Yeah, beautiful, Tony. Beautifully expressed. It bubbles up. It comes, yeah, it wells up from within. Sometimes independent of any outer circumstances.
Oh, one other thing. I think it's all right to share this. I threw my investment in loss and grief in the Doonies some months ago. And almost immediately, people I felt very close to started within 1 week, 3 or 4 people I was very close to died. And then more. And then I was feeling other people's loss, like when Danny and Rubenstein passed. I participated in the Zoom meeting, and I almost broke down sobbing, which is not really helpful for the widow, you know. But Baba was having me feel all that so intensely, and yet, when Craig passed, and I got the word of his passing, I was shocked, but then immediately I felt immense joy. And I felt that meant that he was experiencing joy. And when I was visiting with Louise, at some point I told her this because she was concerned about not being in as much grief as maybe she's supposed to be. And I told her the story, and she said that was exactly what happened to her when Craig passed. She felt this immense joy. And I think Craig, who I gather had been suffering a great deal in the last 3 months with Alzheimer's and broken hips and everything else, I think he had a moment of, whoa, just immense joy. And luckily we picked up a little fragrance of that. So that was the joy story I told you at the center I was going to share.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah.
Elizabeth?
Good evening, everybody. So I was thinking about what I thought joy is. And I do think it's a state of being, and it's a state of presence. And the phrase that came to me was like a spring welling up inside of you. And it's spontaneous, and it can be there at any time. And then I thought, I would see if there's a ghazal or a poem about joy that is in the Rumi, the big red book that Coleman Barks did. And there's actually one called The Source of Joy. And I would like to read that.
Yeah, beautiful.
So this is it. No one knows what makes the soul wake up so happy. Maybe a dawn breeze has blown the veil from the face of God. 1,000 new moons appear, roses open, laughing. Hearts become perfect rubies, like those from Badakhshan. The body turns entirely spirit. Leaves become branches in the wind. Why is it now so easy to surrender, even for those already surrendered? There is no answer to any of this. No one knows the source of joy. A poet breathes into a reed flute, and the tip of every hair makes music. Shams sails down clods of dirt from the roof, and we take jobs as doorkeepers for him. Jai Baba.
Yeah, save that because we'll end in a little bit, and save that because we'll read that one last time before we have a moment of silence. That's just beautiful. Great find. There's a person on the center right now who was there when the Sufi master came to Philadelphia, and with the idea of bringing Rumi to the West, to translate him into English, with Coleman Barks and this fellow who's comes to the center pretty regularly. And yeah, and that was their intention back in the early 70s. And he's been the leading poet for the last many, many years in this country. Any other? We didn't ask Joy to share. I hate to put her on the spot though. If you got a name like Joy, you are kind of, you are a little bit stuck. Oh, I don't see her. She has slipped out. So anyway, anything? I wonder. I mean, are Dyan and Terry? Are you around?
We aren't, but we really can't participate vocally because the house is too small.
Okay.
But we're actively listening and loving every moment of it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Right.
Rini?
When we first went to India in 1973, we went in a group with Francis, and he was mad keen that we did not bother the Mandali, talk to the Mandali too much about anything of our lives which they'd know nothing about, and not ask them questions how to solve our problems in our personal life, to just get on with them and solve them ourselves, and also to be cheerful. They've been through enough, and he hadn't been back since 69, since August 69, so he didn't really know that all these people, even from Australia that he didn't know, and Tasmania and New Zealand and America and England, had been going. I mean, he must have heard in letters from Don Stevens and the Mandali, but I don't think he could quite grasp it. We all found out about it at the same time. And so we're encouraged not to be mournful, not to be dull, not to have garlic face, not to be indulgent, and be cheerful and cheer them up because they're going to be so sad still. Which there was an essence of it, but not like when he left India. And so the songs that we had learnt to entertain them were so cheerful that one had to leave one's mourning and gloom and doom and self-indulgence behind to sing these jolly things like, Baba, now we stand before you, to Beethoven's Jesu Joy Man thing. We had to look cheerful and sing, Baba, now we stand before you, pouring out our song of praise. Nothing more do we implore you, but your love makes pure our days. I can tell you, the minute the 40 of us started it, we looked at those people, I swear they levitated off their seats. They beamed at us like we were these gorgeous babies that could sing, and cheerful and lovely and loving. And it created a mood with our group, with Francis, that this is what to do, and we did that, and Yoganand's Oh God Beautiful, and very pretty, happy things. And the whole trip was like that. It was happy because we'd been encouraged not to bring them down, not to and we got to go every day for 2 weeks to Marizad when we weren't traipsing about, Land of a Thousand Saints with Eruch and so on. But still, the whole mood was like that. It was joyous, definitely joyous. And it was contagious. And the Mandali had it, and we had it, and Francis's hunch was right.
Yeah. Oh, that brings back those times. Wow. So we'll have a few more hands, and then we'll kind of bring it to a close.
Rosalie?
I didn't complete my thought about Mara. Mara was my favorite. There was absolutely no contest about it because it was just being with Baba. I didn't feel like personality between me and Baba with Mara. And I looking back, I was really thankful that did not go sooner to India, because her grief, I could just feel this tremendous grief. She just missed Baba's physical presence so much, and it was nothing anyone could, what if the word assuage, or I remember someone told me that Mara started crying, and this person was there, and the person made an attempt to console, and she backed up like, you can't console me, and but the joy because of her utter belief and love of the avatar, just to me, she's the female side of the avatar. He's always male, but he always has to have the female, has to have him. Yeah. It's not complete otherwise, and he couldn't make it all the way through creation without help, like us. We need help. Jai Baba.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Fred.
Even though he hasn't been Fred, there's Jeremy.
Hello, my name is Fred, but I go by Fred or Jeremy. Either one is fine.
Oh, good. Okay.
Fred is just kind of a pseudonym, if you will. Well, I really do want to tell everyone tonight, earnestly and from the sincere depths of my heart, that I enjoy hearing everyone's input, each and all's input and insight on joy, because it is a deep facet of life, a deep aspect of our well-being. It's principal to our well-being. It's very paramount to our well-being. So I will really like to serve up what Rosalie was saying about joy, and that it is not self-absorbed. It's something that comes from the soul, really, and one can experience soul in many different ways. I know, people take up different hobbies, different pastimes, whether it's reading. I know people in Europe, maybe not in Europe, but in some parts of Europe, will smoke a pipe while they read. Tobacco is not, it's a maladaptive habit. It's not for everybody, but for me, it helps me study and reflect. And, but I know saying that is not always a wise, prudent advice for young ones in our society. So I did want to tell one thing. I apologize if I get sidetracked listening to all of you, and I try to tune into as much as I possibly can. But that love of self and love of life, at least love of life and love of self, can help bring about joy. I know Baba said through one's worldly duties, whether it's washing dishes or doing laundry or cleaning floors, these kinds of things can be great for the soul. Many things can be great for the soul, and so I'm just one who, when I mentioned whether in all walks of life, whether you're, in all walks of life, really, it doesn't matter what heights you attain to, or if you're aloft, or if you're down in the dumps. There are ways to achieve and attain happiness and joy. In my apartment, I have 3 plaques that are done by Japanese artists, and it's just 3 plaques to say peace, happiness, and love. And I have another one that says friends on the entryway. So to try to strike a balance in people, or strike a balance with ourselves, to become more other-centered and aware of how we can best help people through our own input and advice, is really brings about joy. I know in like university or college settings, many of our counterpart and many of our companions like to have that dominion of knowledge, that dominion of nourishment of the soul through knowledge and experience with ideas, that makes for just a great sharing or sharedom of joy. So that's all I had to say, and I'll sign off now.
Good. Yeah. Well said, Fred Jeremy. Okay.
Michael.
Hi. As you probably know, I've been studying the relationship of the mind and to the soul, etc. And what the conclusion I came to was that the mind only contains fear and pain. So it's impossible to talk about the mind, the joy, and joy exists in the realm of the soul. So, and that is not accessible to the mind. So trying to describe joy to the mind, it would be like, let's quantify it, let's compare it, let's give it some reason for being, and none of that would be valid.
Yeah.
I always go back to observing children, and they have this joyfulness that just blows my socks off. I remember my little boy waking up one morning, pulling the blind out, so he could see outside, and yelling in a loud voice, "It's morning time." It's like one morning after, like another morning, which as an adult is just like, well, so what, right? But to him, it was a cause for celebration. I come home, my dog greets me that way, as if she hadn't seen me 2 hours before. Here you are, and boom, I get this joyous reception. So I think Christ mentioned it. He said you have to become like children to enter the kingdom of God. And it's, if your heart is all locked up with pain and regrets and all the stuff that happens that the mind records, and the soul can experience all that and experience joy. I mean, there were monks who beat themselves with chains and whips and lived in cells under great deprivation, and they were joyous. So this transcending the mind in the material world, like Baba says, to be in it, but not of it. Or as Hafiz said, remembering a quote of Hafiz that Adi told the group, "My master binds me hand and foot upon a plank and throws me into the ocean, commanding me to not get a drop on myself." I know that's a paraphrase, but the expression I came up with for Ghazal was, in the world of man, stay afloat, but in my ocean, drown. And to do that simultaneously while you're alive and walking around, and all this hell is going on, and all the demands that are made upon us by the very fact of being in the universe, is immaterial to what we experience internally. This joy of this connection of knowing that Baba has us in his hands. I realize that gives me joy, but I don't even think about it. I can't, it's like looking at yourself in a mirror. What do you see, Oh, I've got to shave. You don't see what other people see. You don't see yourself. And loving does not mean I love you, I love Baba. It's like, it's this total fascination with something that cannot be grasped, touched, that's beyond imagination and conception, as he says. And what can you do but just stand there or kneel or prostrate with your mouth open in wonder and joy and ecstasy. And, that makes you useless in the world. Well, wake up, Michael, time to go to work.
Yeah.
We have got to play that. That's the dichotomy of it, the challenge of it, and the wonder of it, and the beauty of it. So I recommend making poetry out of life. Just going to the grocery store and getting a quart of milk. That can be poetry. That can be a moment to be with God, to connect with somebody. And as I said, I like to make little jokes to get people to laugh. To look at, just to step outside and then look at, why am I taking this thing seriously? So anyway, I don't want to go on anymore. I want to go see the red moon. My wife is out there waiting for me. So Jai Baba all.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
See you, Michael. Yeah. Okay.
Rooney.
Hey, Baba. First, I want to say, Michael, I so much enjoy humor, and I years ago when Kenmore had said that you can, Baba being the ocean of infinite attributes, you can ask any quality from him that you want, and he will give you that, any divine quality. And I felt I had no sense of humor, and I asked him for a sense of humor, and it just keeps getting deeper and deeper as the years pass by. And it was starting to annoy my wife, but she seems to be enjoying it now. But that's not why I raised my hand. Last year, I was asked to do a concert, a Zoom concert here, Baba Zoom concert. And around my birthday and I want to mention the thought that came to me, that joy and love are linked. That's a big thing about joy. But anyway, I did a concert for around my birthday, which was September 4 last year. And I want to, this is kind of a personal moment, but it's something that it's like when you neglected to do something that meant a lot to you. Rosalie was in the audience when I did that concert, and she said she was going to send me something after it. And she did. She sent this amazing Baba card with Baba with a baby on my birthday, and a note saying, just as Baba scooped up Mani when you were born, here is Baba scooping you up. He is your real father. And it was so touching. And it's been in a prominent place ever since I got it. But somehow I just realized that she had never received any response from me. I thought I sent it, but I want to say openly and publicly that that gift from you, Rosalie, gave me such joy, and it still gives me. And my father died when I was 9, so the quote was really wonderful. And she said other things, but look at this Baba, look at this beautiful Baba photo with the baby, me in that case. Thank you so much for the joy and the love. Mwah.
Beautiful.
Rosalie.
I wanted to share this. It's a description. It's from the Meher Baba journals, Sri Meher Baba Impressions. And Narina's describing someone meeting Baba. Very beautiful. I love it because it's like Baba's like a child. Someone of fierce nature, a man insatiable in self-satisfaction of life, spiritually yet immature, too proud to dare to be confronted with one like Sri Meher Baba, who after having met him said, I went determined to oppose, my mind full of doubts. When I entered the room, I felt disarmed by his look as of a pure child. That experience I can hardly describe. I thought I was going to see a man, but I met someone far above the ordinary. His form, though looking natural and human, was of a different texture. He appeared translucent. He knew all about my life as if it were his own. He read my most remote thoughts. He moved within me a realm of feeling which I had ignored. One commonly calls it heart, but it is that real heart which we know only because throughout all life we long for its better feelings. When I told him about my struggles, I saw that my suffering left traces of its unworthy drama on his face. I had to kiss his compassionate face. I shall never forget his superhuman kindness and tolerance and his childlike humor. We talked about things worldly and matters of every day. I realized that all was the clean, clear expression of some unfathomable, just, and lawful plan, which since I have accepted by the grace of faith that he awakened in me.
Beautiful. Wow, what a, save that for another time too.
Yeah.
So let's have Elizabeth, if you can read that Rumi there, and then we'll have a few moments of silence.
Okay.
Yeah.
The source of joy. No one knows what makes the soul wake up so happy. Maybe a dawn breeze has blown the veil from the face of God. 1,000 new moons appear, roses open, laughing. Hearts become perfect rubies like those from Badakhshan. The body turns entirely spirit. Leaves become branches in the wind. Why is it now so easy to surrender, even for those already surrendered? There is no answer to any of this. No one knows the source of joy. A poet breathes into a reed flute, and the tip of every hair makes music. Shams sails down clods of dirt from the roof, and we take jobs as doorkeepers for him. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Okay, let's have a few
Jai
moments.
Baba. Sublime.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Thank you for all you shared. Wow, it's really beautiful. And coming up, coming up to what? Memorial Day, right? Uh-oh. That means motorcycle weekend in Myrtle Beach.
Ugh.
It's awful. But
No, no, it means Meharana Sahavas.
oh, that's better.
Depends where you are.
That is a lot better. I'm moving to the West Coast.
I've graduated
That
to
was
the arty
that
one.
was Phyllis Frederick's birthday, so it always puts a smile on my face.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you, Michael.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
Hey, Jeff. I was gonna call the share your bookstore within the next couple of weeks, and I thought maybe I'd ask you ahead of time. But are you familiar with the book Conversations with the Awakener by Bal Natu?
Yeah.
Do you know if that went out of
the book? Yeah.
Is that out of print, or is that still something that is on is public purchasable?
I think it's there. Yeah.
I don't know. I would just call the number
All right.
And yeah, it's Laura Smith will be the,
Laura Smith. Yeah.
you'll know.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So good. Well, I mean, you folks really spoke right from your heart. It's beautiful. And there's even something uplifting talking about joy. You know, some of the other things we've kind of talked about, more the issues and the struggles, is slightly different than talking about joy. Yeah, well, you guys all disappear into the ether, and I will too. Yeah, Jay Baba.
Baba.
Nasreen. Oh, wait, we got to have
Where's Nasreen? Yeah.
Nasreen
Not
has
over till it's over.
to close the barn, the tavern.
Here I am.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Avatar.
Baba.
Baba. Jai. Avatar. Meher.
Baba.
Jai. Avatar.
Baba.
Jai. Baba.
And now to see Baba in the full moon.
Thank you.
Eclipse. The eclipse.
Jai Baba.
Joyful, yeah.